Welcome in. Thanks for stopping by again on such short notice. Today we are back with another big, beautiful edition of IDP. In this Doucheisode we have post-punk from Chicago. We've got some sophisticated dream pop from Auckland, New Zealand, as well as some indie pop from London and more. Yeah, I didn't get much sleep last night, so to celebrate, I'd like to invite you to crack open an ice cold beer and help yourself to a meat stick as usual. And let's go ahead and get started. First up, we have the terrific debut LP from the young Chicago post-punk trio. They go by the name Lifeguard. The title of their debut LP is Ripped and Torn, and it is out now on Matador Records. This one has been a while in the making. It feels like they had released a couple EPs, one in 2022, one in 2023. I think when they signed with Matador, they released both those EPs like sandwiched together as on a 12-inch record. Yeah, so it felt like an LP was imminent for the last 2 years, and now it is here. And it is worth the wait. So this takes, early angular post-punk, 1980s no wave, 1990s math rock and other noise rock as well. But it does those things with melodic vocals, or fairly melodic vocals, I would say. And it rips for the 30-minute runtime. You can hear shades of bands, just bits and pieces of bands like Polvo, This Heat, Swell Maps, The Fall, Swans, Sonic Youth, of course, etc. This is definitely a band that knows their music history, they're students of the game, so to speak. Randy Randall of the band No Age produces this one. Yeah, I think that overall this really works as an album. It's cohesive, but it's not samey. If you're in the mood for some dissonant, fairly abrasive, yet melodic post-punk, this is a fun record that you would want to check out. That is the band from Chicago called Lifeguard, and this album is called Ripped and Torn.
Take your time.
Next up, we have another debut LP, this time from the Auckland, New Zealand group called Phoebe Rings. And the debut full length is titled Aseurai. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I meant to look that up. I didn't. What are you going to do? It's out now on Carpark Records. We did talk about the Phoebe Rings when they released their debut EP, which was also on Carpark Records around the time when they signed with Carpark Records. This is a group led by the Seoul, South Korea native named Crystal Choi, who went to New Zealand to study jazz piano and now lives there. The group features veterans of the Auckland music scene. They've all played in in other bands you may have heard of. This is kind of sophisticated dream pop. It has elements of like Japanese city pop, even a little bit like a little bit of smooth jazz possibly in there, if that scares you. A little yacht rock maybe as well. It also has some elements of like electronic krautrock in there as well. It's melodic, dreamy indie pop. I would say has hints of bands like Men I Trust, Pearl and the Oysters, Les Super Homard. Those kinds of things come to mind, but you know, and a variety of others as well, of course. The album maybe veers a little bit into you know, being a little bit too smooth or maybe a little too pop forward at times, but I still think overall it's a solid listen. That is the band Phoebe Rings. Their debut release is called Aseurai on Carpark Records. We have the latest album from the long-running London indie pop group called Comet Gain. This album is titled Letters to Ordinary Outsiders, which is out on Tapete Records. I'm going to call this their 9th studio album overall. I think it kind of depends what you count. I'm going to call it their 9th. And this is also the direct follow-up to the 2019 album, which I still think is excellent, called Fire Razors Forever, which featured the instant classic single We're All Fucking Morons, which I think, you know, is still relevant today. Yeah, Comet Gain kind of shift styles somewhat back and forth, or, you know, over time and from album to album. I think that all of their albums have different producers, which maybe also lends to that as well. I would also say that even with the shifts in style album to album, it's still kind of rooted in indie pop. You know, there's some like mod punk, there's some Sarah Records, there's, you know, C86. I pretty much like almost all of their like main studio albums, and I find that they grow on me over time. You can call this jangle rock with vintage keys, has horns, gang style vocals, you know, somewhat intricate arrangements, well written, melancholy lyrics. So this one is produced by Sean Reed of Dexy's Midnight Runners, and I think that you hear that influence on here. They also do some like short spoken interludes, I think, between most of the songs, which, you know, a la Dexy's again. I don't know that I like this one as much as I liked Fire Razors Forever, but I do feel like I like it quite a bit, and more with each successive listen. Yeah, so that is the band Comet Gain, and their new album is called Letters to Ordinary Outsiders.
So get your face on, get your race right, get your buzz back on. So pump your heart and make a start and get your buzz back on. With beat of the veins, beat of the veins, beat of the veins, beat of the veins. Do you remember lights on the water when we would sing? You've been gone too long. Do you remember safe in your harbor, running towards your dreams, safe in your scenes?
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the first LP in 24 years and the 8th LP overall from the Sheffield, England band Pulp. This one is called More. It's the long-awaited, I would say somewhat unexpected follow-up to the 2001 Scott Walker produced album We Love Life. I pretty much like every Pulp album to some degree, including the pre-His and Hers albums that I sought out and purchased in the mid 90s. So I come into this expecting, basically expecting to like it, but also being prepared to be let down, because fairly often when there's multiple decades between releases, that doesn't always pan out as well as we'd like. So I actually did look at I think three separate reviews. I don't always look at reviews. I don't look at a lot of reviews anyway. But for this one, I did note I saw a very a fairly negative review, I think in an Irish newspaper, that really panned the album. I think basically saying that the first song is the only good song on the record, and then it's just downhill from there. And then I read another, I think from an English publication, that pretty much said this stands up with the top tier Pulp. I would say I don't agree with either of those assessments. I don't think it's that bad, and I don't think it's that great. I do think this is solid Pulp. I'd say it exceeds expectations, but I think it's a bit unfair to be expecting His and Hers or Different Class Part 2. Jarvis definitely still has it with his erotic and humorous, witty lyricism. There are some really outstanding songs on here, for sure. I'd say maybe in the latter half, the second half of the album, there's maybe a couple songs that don't work as well for me as the rest of the album does overall. Anyway, a band like Pulp puts out a new album, they're probably not going to be gaining any new fans. This is really, people are going to listen to this are already probably going to be fans of Pulp. And I do think this is an album that is worthy of having Pulp on the cover. At least I think so. Yeah, once again, that is Pulp, and their new album is called More, and it's out now on Rough Trade Records.
Until I walk back to the garden of earthly delights I was born.